Welcome to the New York Pest Management Association YouTube channel, and today we have Joe Barrett and Jordan Brooks to talk about Legislative Day that's coming up from the NPMA in March. Guys, welcome.
Glad to be here. You're a professional now. You're like the Casey Kasem of our generation.
Okay, so Jordan, how old are you? Casey Kasem.
Yeah, man. I'm getting up there.
So that Joe knows, Casey Kasem was on the radio, which is what your grandparents used to listen to. Just so you know, he was a radio DJ to the top 100 on the weekends.
I was a big Saved by the Bell fan, and Casey Kasem was a guest star on the show a couple of times, and that was always a big deal when he'd be at the Max. I think that's really my Casey Kasem knowledge, but yeah, I might not be as youthful as I may appear. I'll think that's a compliment.
There you go. So you guys are involved with the New York Pest Management Association. Joe, I guess we'll start with you. You're the SPAR for the New York Pest Management Association, and if I get one question, it's more often than any others. It's what the heck is a SPAR? Tell us what the heck that is. What do you do for us?
So SPAR stands for State Public Affairs Representative. And basically what we do is we watch the bills that come through the state of New York. Any legislation we need to be involved in, we get involved with that with our lobbyist, Wayne Lair and Ty Mills, who are very helpful. We basically look at everything that comes through, any legislation, and see how we can amend it or possibly meet with each senator or congressman to review how we can make it work for us in the industry, and what's best for everybody, including from a public health standpoint. So what's best for our industry, what's best from a public health standpoint, and what's best for everyone. So that's really what we do. We have monthly meetings. As you know, we have the Legislative Days coming up, which is a big one for us. And it's kind of cool because we get to sit and, meet with senators and congressmen and their staffers. And we get to kind of share our opinion on stuff and kind of feel out where they're at. And then we go from there. So that was a good explanation for you, but.
No, that's great. So you guys are looking at anything that would affect, pesticide law and applications and affect the industry. And those laws can kind of fall into all kinds of different categories. So you guys are looking not just at like DEC regulations. It's kind of like anything that's in the state assembly or Senate or whatever, right?
I would say anything that impacts us as an industry and us as a state, even environmental stuff sometimes. We would really kind of look at everything and then kind of weed out what we need to be involved in or what we think is going to, be vetoed or, what's not a worry, what is a worry, what should we focus our efforts on, what should we follow up on. But really, that's kind of what we focus on. Yeah, we look at everything just to we always like to take the big picture into consideration. So I think that's the standpoint that both Jordan and I take.
Yeah. And this is at the state level. So you guys are sort of our eyes on what the state government's doing for everybody in the association. That's awesome. So now we got Legislative Day coming up, but that's not at the state level. This is in Washington, D.C. So, Jordan, I know you've been a bunch of times. What's Legislative Day? If somebody has no clue, and actually first, before that, what's your position here with the state association? I know you started some new stuff with us.
Yeah, I am Vice SPAR now that Bill Minahan, who was a great mentor to me and Joe, I think Joe would agree, now that he is a turncoat and has gone to Connecticut, Joe was elevated to SPAR and quite deserved of that role, having spent a couple legislative days with him and spoken to him throughout the year. So he is definitely the right man for the job. And having background as an attorney, I was interested in the legislative process. So when I knew that role was opening up, I spoke to Joe, and he graciously, brought me on as Vice SPAR. So just trying to help him out, given how busy he is, and just looking to get involved and help the industry as well in that regard.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so for those that haven't gone, what the heck is a legislative day? Because that's in Washington, that's not in Albany. What is this thing?
Correct.
Yeah.
Legislative Day is really more than a day. There is a day that involves hill visits, but it is a 4-day affair. It's not mandatory that everyone attend all 4 days. You really can pick and choose what you do, but it is a 3.5 to 4 day event that kicks off with committee meetings on Saturday and Sunday that all members are welcome to attend. So you really get to see a lot of these committees. If you go on the NPMA website and you see the various listings of committees, whether it be membership, whether it be finance, whether it be public policy, there are numerous of them. Leadership. Any member who's attending Legislative Day can attend those meetings to sort of to learn what is going on, what those committees are handling at the time. There's also an overall board meeting, which is the Saturday night of Legislative Day, and then a reception thereafter. So you're able to connect with people from throughout the country and even throughout North America to learn what's going on and network. So there's great networking opportunities. That's really how Saturday night kicks off. Sunday, there are committee meetings. And oftentimes you'll see groups going out to dinner. So informal networking as well. Mm-hmm. And then Monday, there are several advocacy training events. How do you present the issues that may be pertinent to to the legislators, as Joe mentioned, and to staffers? You'll receive training on what those issues are, how best to present those issues. You'll also there's also an event where there's frequently like a debate between someone, let's say, from the left and someone from the right over current events, which is really which I found the last 2 years to be extremely interesting. And there's usually some sort of historian who will speak as well to give some background on some topic in Washington, D.C. So it's really a well-rounded event. And then Tuesday, as Joe alluded to, are Hill visits, where each state will go in its own caucus to the Capitol and meet with several senators, your senators and representatives or their staffers to discuss the issues that are most vital to NPMA at the current time. So, and that is there's something, to me, there's always been something special about going to Washington, D.C. Since I was a kid, no matter what the dysfunction is or is not, however you view the tides of politics, there is something very special about being in our nation's capital and the architecture and the history. So I greatly appreciate the opportunity to go and make those visits. And we're afforded full respect by whether it be the senator or representative herself or himself or the staffers. Yeah. They certainly appear to be genuinely interested in what we're discussing. So I find it to be very valuable.
Yeah. So, Joe, we're in one of the most highly regulated states in the country. Is it important? Does it make an impact if we go and talk to our congressmen and senators in Washington? Does this make a difference for members to get involved with this?
Absolutely. We have to lobby for being regulated by the DEC. And just to kind of talk a little bit about preemption, we have to lobby for that. The alternative is just not logical. Which in just to explain the alternative quick, Andy, to give you the quick breakdown, it would literally mean that every county can create their own regulations, and we have to abide by those regs. So we want and need places like the DEC to regulate us. And I feel like when we can voice our opinion in front of the people that are making those decisions, I feel like it holds a lot of impact. As Jordan said, he's a wonderful vice VAR. I'm lucky to have him. I really, truly am. I knew he was the man for the job. And having him there just makes, power in numbers. It feels great. I'm already getting pumped up for it already. I'm sure he is too. But I do feel like it makes a huge difference. We represent our state. And it shows that we care. We care about public health. We care about our industry, and we wanna do what's right by the people and what's right by the industry.
So Joe, with the preemption, people have a hard time, I think, sometimes getting their mind around that a little bit. Is this the sort of thing like what we're seeing in California, where we have a couple cities that have banned glue boards? And so if you go into those cities, I can't remember the names of them, you can't use glue boards for pest control. Is that the sort of thing that you could see if we don't sort of lock this down and say, hey, the EPA is the only one that's making sort of these laws, and then your state regulatory?
In my opinion, I think it could go that route if a county had its own ability to make regulations. I don't see why they couldn't. I could see that happening. And again, all the more reason why legislative days is so important. It's just the impact that we need to have as a state, and the say that we need to have. It's our right, as a as an association. And we don't want stuff like that to happen. So that's a great question. And New York follows suit to California very closely. So these are all very valid and just concerns, in my opinion. So they have a lot of this very similar legislation from what I can see,
Yeah, absolutely. So, Jordan, it sounds like when you made that description, it's a couple day thing. Legislative Day itself is just one part of a whole sort of event. It sounds like a lot to me. If I was like an outsider looking at this, I would be like, "Holy cow, this is a lot." Do you have to have any like political knowledge and preparation? If somebody's a first timer that wants to go down there, do they have to like brush up on their debate skills because they're going to have to do a Mr. Smith goes to Washington filibuster or anything?
No, you need less than none. Put it that way.
Okay, perfect.
The NPMA staff is terrific in educating us upon arrival, especially during those Monday courses. They leave you with about 3 or 4 handouts that are generally just one pagers, and they do a great job of distilling down what the issues are and what our position is. Also, you will be, when you make the Hill visit, you'll be accompanied by people who are experienced, such as Joe and now I am making these Hill visits. So that way, if you do not feel comfortable speaking with your legislator or staffer, you don't need to. Just the presence of individuals from a state association is very important to show that we're committed and we care. So you don't need any knowledge whatsoever.
Yeah, and easy to find your way around. You get into town, stay at the hotel, and there you are. Or how's that work?
Yeah, NPMA does an incredible job of organizing the event. If you want to, you could remain in the hotel the entire time to participate in all of the events other than the Hill visits on Tuesday morning. And for those Hill visits, each state will meet in the lobby and then Uber over together.
Oh.
And then we'll head in together, wait in the security lines, and then go to each assigned appointment together. So you will always be with someone if you would like to. You do the entire itinerary and all events take place in that Capitol Hilton. So
Gotcha.
If you want to venture off and sightsee, certainly you have that freedom, but you also do not need to. You do not need to get in an Uber or go anywhere other than being in that hotel if you don't want to, other than, again, the Hill visits, which you will be accompanied by your entire state caucus.
Gotcha. Now, when you go to this and you go to the meetings, you're in the Capitol building? Do you go into the rotunda? Do you see all the sights of that, or how's that work?
Yeah, you see it all. In fact, last year, right, Joe, we went down to like that underground, sort of like train/trolley area, and you often will walk by numerous senators or representatives.
Oh, wow.
Last year, one of our members went in the senators only elevator and got a very, very menacing, stern look by a certain senator from Massachusetts.
Oh my gosh.
Who seemed not to be too pleased that this individual had got into the wrong elevator. It's an image that I'll always have, so I'll treasure it and glad he did it.
Oh my
But
gosh.
yeah, you see everything.
That's funny. So what comes to mind to me, first thing you go with is, I'm looking for bed bugs. I'm just doing an inspection here. And they'll let you in there.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
Just
Exactly. They'll scurry out, and I
yeah,
know, I
that's
know.
right.
It was well, it's funny. So the sign that will say like either representative only or senators only is very faded.
Mm,
So in all
yeah.
fairness, to this individual, it
Mm,
wasn't. It was maybe quasi intentional, but it wasn't wholly intentional. And
yeah.
but
Yeah.
that yeah. So like you said, you can end up in an elevator with a very prominent senator,
That's awesome.
and have that story for the rest of your life.
Very
I think
cool.
another time, one of the individuals that we caucused with that came from our association got the cell phone number of one of a representative who now was forced to resign in disgrace. So it's there are a lot of there are a
Yeah.
lot of these things that come up, and so you really are getting full access to the whole show.
Wow, wow. So now, Joe, you've been a number of years, like you said. When lawmakers hear from us directly, from pest management professionals, we show up. What resonates with them? Have you noticed anything in particular that resonates?
I mean, I think it's the whole process, the start to finish. So I mean, that's from us showing up. I mean, every time we show up, we all dress full suit and tie. The professional approach we have, and then the follow up too. So it's never just we're going to the hill, you know. This is our point of view, and then it dies. We don't take that leg. We follow up with it. You know what I mean? So it's the whole process. So I mean, I do think there's a certain presentation that we have to maintain an image as a unit, and I think it's the whole process that's impactful to them.
Yeah,
Um, and again, it's just like Jordan said. It's you have to remember you're seeing everything happen. These guys are there and they're running around, they're running from meeting to meeting to meeting, and you're seeing everything in the hot and heavy as you're there. So we have to be mindful of their time as they're being mindful of ours. We're lucky to even have the opportunity to sit down with them. So,
mm-hmm.
um, but yeah, I mean, I do think it's impactful the process from start to finish. And again, just to kind of touch a little bit on what Jordan said, it's awesome that New York works as a unit and all the states work as a unit because it's like it kind of removes that uncomfortability for a first timer. And Jordan and I were in the same boat. We kind of sat back and watched Feldstein do his thing, and then Bill Moynihan and Jim Skinner. We kind of watched and learned from the pros. They kind of handed the ropes over to us. So for a first timer, we'd just be happy they're there and kind of experience it. And I think once it's all done for any first timer, they're going to sit there and say, "Wow, that was a really wonderful experience." And next year's going to be cake. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. So let's say you have a small one-man operation, a little company on the fence, and they're going, "Hey, is this worth my time?" What would you guys maybe say to that person of like one last thing, like to get them over the hump there?
I mean, I don't want to speak for Jordan, but my thing is, I feel like every person that's there matters. I feel like even if it's just one more person, it counts.
Yeah.
And I really just feel like we all need to really think about the why. Why are we doing this? You know what I mean? We're doing it to protect public health, and we're doing it to protect our industry. And there's a lot of things that are out of our control. We can only control what's in our control. And one of the things that is in our control is going to um, legislative days and doing this. You know what I mean? And representing our state. And like we said on the call yesterday with the board, there's power in numbers. And that's impactful. Even if it's a small company, this is their chance to voice their opinion and make a difference, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I know I said a lot there, Jordan. I didn't mean to steal any
No,
time.
that's okay. And actually, what occurs to me, Jordan, as a background as an attorney, is going to Washington like going to the mothership. Is that like?
Yeah, it does. I haven't been able to get into the Supreme Court either year, but you do. Yes, yes. I think that's a great characterization. You're coming home,
Yeah.
and so yeah, it does. Again, like I said, that's why I've always viewed it as sort of special. Not because of necessarily the legal background, but
Yeah.
there's a
All
lot
right.
going on.
So I know I'm sticking close to Jordan. That's what I'm doing. stay with their.
I don't know. Be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Oh my gosh, guys, this was great. Hopefully we get a lot of people to get down there for the New York delegation. I know year over year we're looking to increase our numbers down there, and it definitely makes a difference. So thank you guys so much for joining us today and all the time you guys put in.
Thank you for the
Thank you for what you're doing. Yes.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it.